Hello friends, my name is Madeline and welcome back to my channel, Cozy Cottage Chapters, and welcome to a spring book recommendation video. I had so much fun doing this for winter books. I'm such a seasonal reader, and so combining a list of my favorite books of the season is just a lot of fun. And I wanted to be sure to do it for springtime because over the past maybe 2 years or so, I would say my favorite season has changed from fall to spring. I used to love fall, and I still do, but spring has just become such a beautiful time. I've just come to appreciate spring so much more. I think part of that is living in the countryside and being able to see the changes every day, the new flowers that are blooming, the new leaves that are starting to sprout, and it just fills me with so much anticipation and joy and hope to see all this new life after winter. Winter can be very dreary and yucky and lots of rain and just cold and not fun. And so get warmer days and start to get flowers again. I just get so excited and I love it so much. So I have just really fallen in love with spring, I would say. And there are lots of really good books that I feel like go well with the spring season also, and I am super excited to share them with you. So I came up with a list of 10 books that I feel like really encapsulate new life, fresh starts, new beginnings, second chances, hope, joy, kind of all of those themes that I think are needed when it comes to a spring kind of book. Without further ado, let's just jump into the books. I have 10, like I said. I tried to keep it to one per author, but I have 2 authors where I just couldn't limit myself. I love them too much. And these books both are very springish to me. So I had to include those. But yeah, kind of a mix of genres, more classics. But yeah, anyways, let's just get into it. All right, first up is the book that was my favorite book of last year, and I knew I needed to make a spring recommendation video because I have not gushed properly about this book on BookTube, and that is a shame because I love it so much. And that is none other than Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. Like I said, this is in my top 5 favorite books ever. Possibly like top 2. Honestly, it's hard to choose, but I loved this book so much. It is the story of Molly Gibson, who we follow. We see her in childhood, and then we see her kind of in late adolescence as she's on the verge of growing up. And it is her and her dad for most of her life, but then her dad gets married and she has a stepmother and also a stepsister. And we just follow her relationships with these different characters, these different people in her family, also the townspeople. She's very close to some other families in town. And we're just following her in her daily life. It's a very quiet book. There's some beautiful descriptions of springtime is when it starts out. In the first couple of chapters, you get some really, really lush descriptions of gardens, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's a quiet story, but it's also very deep, it's very profound, and despite it being a really long book, I was never once bored. I never was just kind of like hoping to get to the end. I was captivated the whole time. I absolutely love Molly. I love Squire Hamley, and just so many of the characters feel so real to life. I think that's really where Elizabeth Gaskell shines, is in her characters. They just feel like people you have met before. And I'm just itching to pick this book back up. I think I'm going to reread it this spring, even though it's only been a year. I love it so much, and I feel like it is the perfect spring book. I could only recommend one book for spring. It would be Wives and Daughters. That's how much I love it. I not limit myself to one Elizabeth Gaskell. So there's another one, and that is the Moorland Cottage. This is a short story / novella. I'm not really sure where it lies. But if Wives and Daughters is quite long, this one is quite short, but still packs a really good punch. And I had to include this one because I feel like another element of spring reading is just cozy domestic kind of stories. And obviously the Moorland Cottage, like it's in the title, it's going to be cozy, it's going to be very domestic. On the main character's name, I'm horrible at names. But but she has a brother and they live with their mom, and their mom is like not the best. She really favors the brother over her daughter. Her main character is very, very devoted to her brother and very much wants to do the best by him, even though he is like also not the best. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this story. Despite it being short, it is just a wild adventure. There's romance, there's so much going on, and I don't really want to say too much more, but I really, really enjoyed this, and I feel like it would be a good spring read also. I feel like you could make a variety of arguments as to which is the best Jane Austen novel for spring, but I have to go with Persuasion. This is a pretty short one too, so, you know, nice and quick and easy to get through. But to me, the whole second chance romance trope is just kind of perfect for spring. I can't think of anything else. We're following Anne Elliot, who many years earlier kind of rejected this man she really loved to think that maybe she could get a better match. She was advised by her family members that she could do better, and so she rejected him even though she really, really loved him. He went off into the Navy, and many years later they meet again, and they have this second chance to find happiness. And it is just so beautiful. I absolutely loved the character of Anne. And there's a very romantic letter. I think probably the most romantic letter I've ever read in this book. And it's just Jane Austen. It's wonderful. Really among my most favorite Jane Austen novels. And I love it so much, and perfect if you haven't read it yet to pick it up this spring. All right, another author who I just couldn't decide what to put on the list. And you know, part of my justification is that this first book is a book in a series, and it's not the first book in the series. So, you know, like, you need to read a lot of books before you can get to this one. Ideally, I mean, you don't have to, but ideally. So that's why I was like, you know what, let's throw in 2 books. Anyways, the first book I want to recommend is Rilla of Ingleside by Ella Montgomery. This is the last book in the Anne series. So, you know, you've got a ways to go to get to this one. You could technically read it but, you know, without having read the previous books, but I think you get a lot if you have read and you kind of understand all of the different characters and the dynamics, etc. Anyway, we're following Anne's youngest daughter, Rilla, who is about to be 18, something like that. And she, at the start of the book, you know, is a pretty frivolous young lady. She doesn't really care much about anything important. She wants to go to parties, and she wants to wear pretty dresses and fall in love and all of that. And then war breaks out, World War I, and she grows up pretty fast. She has to. And there's a lot of serious things happening, a lot of sorrow also, but a lot of beauty and learning how to find beauty amidst really, really hard times. And I just loved Rilla so much. This is, again, among my favorite books in the Anne series. I adored it. I am very much itching to reread it. I don't know if I'll get to it this spring. I'm not sure I'm like really in the mood for how sad it can be at times, honestly, but we'll see. And I just absolutely adore Rilla so much. This has, of course, all of the classic, beautiful Ella Montgomery nature writing, which I feel like just makes it perfect for springtime. Books always make me want to slow down and appreciate nature more. Right, the second Ella Montgomery is a standalone, and that is The Blue Castle. I read this one last summer and really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Ella Montgomery. I know for a lot of people it is. I didn't quite enjoy it that much, but I still really, really enjoyed it. We're following Valancy Sterling, who is older. I don't remember like how old she is, but she's very much like kind of out of the marriage market. She's too old. She's almost considered a spinster. She's not that old, but you know, like that's the society view of things. And her family is really mean to her. Like they're just awful to her, and very critical. She receives some unexpected medical news that causes her to just really change the way she wants to live life. She's tired of living, you know, in the shadows of what her family expects of her. She's tired of being constrained. She wants to be free and do what she wants. And so she sets off and does that. Eventually also falls in love. And this is just a really, really great story. I loved Valancy, her courage, her outlook on life, and yeah, very, very fun, enjoyable read. Author whose books I feel like are just perfect for spring, and again, you could choose a lot, maybe any of her books. You could choose Anna and Her Daughters by D.E. Stevenson. I want to read more D.E. Stevenson. I am very much a beginner in the world of D.E. Stevenson, but her books are so beautiful and soft and just gentle stories for spring. We follow a mother and her 3 daughters, and they have recently lost their home and they need, well, I think their father passes away. Yes, that's it. The father passes away and they need to sell their home and move somewhere else. The mother is from Scotland, so she wants to go back to her hometown, and the daughters come with. And we're really following Jane, who is much more mature. She is really trying to pull things together for her family. She's trying to support them. She's trying to kind of find a way forward. There's a bit of a romance too, which I did think was pretty abrupt in how it was handled. It kind of all of a sudden popped up out of nowhere, which is not that rare for the D.E. Stevenson books that I've read. But there's a lot to really love about this book. And I loved the setting of Scotland. I loved getting some of the domestic details of how they are going about setting up their new life. Eventually it takes a job and meets this really eclectic, eccentric kind of lady. She's an author, I believe. And yeah, this book is a lot of fun. Pick up some D.E. Stevenson this spring. I would highly recommend it if you haven't already. All right, I technically have not finished this next book, but I am like 85-ish% of the way through, and I feel very confident that I'm going to really enjoy the end of it also, and so it can make its way to this list. And that is Dandelion Cottage by, I'm totally blanking on the author. And this is a classic children's book, not very well known, I feel. And we're following this group of girls who make an agreement with the church, who owns this little abandoned cottage, that if they clean things up, clean up the garden, the dandelions, they can use the cottage as like a playhouse this summer. And they get to work, they get it all cleaned up, and we're just following them. I loved, again, the coziness, the domesticity of them setting up this cottage and all of the cleaning they have to do, and trying to get furniture from their parents, or kind of make do with things. They get very creative in how they furnish their house. They end up getting some crazy mean neighbors, and that creates some tension, but overall it's just a really kind of sweet, cozy book, perfect for springtime. An author that I really, really want to read more of, and I do think I have some of her books on my Kindle, so maybe I will get to that this spring, is Elizabeth Cadell. But I want to recommend The Lark Shall Sing, which is the first book in the Wayne family trilogy, I think is what it's called. And we are following this family who all of a sudden kind of descend on this house, this ancestral house. And we have all of these different characters all kind of come into this house that was their childhood home, but most of them have all kind of moved away, and they're coming back and figuring out what to do with this property. And there's just a lot of coziness. I loved the sibling dynamics. You get some really interesting characters, and there's a little bit of romance in it as well, which I think is fun for springtime, and just really, really beautiful writing, rich descriptions. And I really, really enjoyed the whole, all 3 books in that series. All right, I had to check my notes because I was not sure what I have left. And a more modern book, another series, is Emma and Lion by Beth Brower. I have to admit, I am not very far into this series. I think I've read the first 2 or 3 books, I'm not sure. I've heard it gets significantly better as you go along, which gives me hope, because while I enjoyed the first books, I didn't love them as much as some people do. And I have hope, though, as the series goes along, that I will, get more invested in it. But anyways, these are exactly what it sounds like. It's a fictionalized journal of Emma M. Lyon, who is living in the Georgian era in London. And she has, both of her parents have died. She has been left this house, but due to some legal things, her uncle is actually living in the house, and she will fully own it when she comes of age. But for now, her uncle is like living in it, even though it's technically kind of her house. Her and her uncle do not get along well at all. He is not very nice, and we have a lot of tension kind of there. We get to see a lot of kind of what her daily life is like, and her friends and different things. So it is a lot of fun. I do really enjoy it. The first books are very, very short. And feel very spring-ish to me. Maybe it's the diary kind of format of it. I don't know, but they embody spring to me. And my last recommendation, this is one that I also read recently, and that is The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. This is, I guess, technically young adult fantasy. It is a fairy tale retelling story. And it is just so beautiful. The writing is absolutely exquisite. Absolutely fell in love with this story. We are following this princess who has been sent off to marry a prince of a neighboring kingdom to kind of bring peace, bring these two kingdoms together. Along the way, there's a rebellion. People rise up against her, and they want her best friend to be the queen instead of her. And she is left all alone. She has to make her way to this kingdom. And when she gets there, she finds out that her best friend is indeed impersonating her. And she has to kind of figure out what she's going to do. She lays low, tries to buy herself some time, makes friends, and ends up getting a job as a goose keeper for the king in the palace. And again, there's a lot of domesticity, there's a lot of coziness. I absolutely love this group of friends that she forms around her. There's a lot of themes of loyalty and bravery, and it's just a really, really beautiful, beautiful fairy tale book. I'm gonna do 10 books, and I'm gonna add in a bonus book. And I technically haven't finished it yet, but I feel like these books need to be on every book recommendation, seasonal book recommendation video I do, because they're just so seasonal and so fun. And I started it. I've read a little bit while I'm upstairs hanging out with the kids. And that is the Heartwood Hotel series. This is Better Together book 3, and each book is follows a particular season. So this is the springtime book, and it is a bunch of cozy woodland creatures. There's a hotel, we have a mouse, we have squirrels, we have all kinds of woodland creatures. And they're just stories full of friendship, full of coziness, and just a ton of fun for kids and also for adults. I really enjoy them also. There's some cute illustrations too in it, which are a lot of fun. And I adore these books so much. That's it for my list of spring book recommendations. Like I said, I'm excited to do some spring seasonal reading. I feel like I've been in a little bit of a reading slump, just not really connecting with some of the things I've been reading. So maybe I need to turn more towards springtime things. And let me know if you've read any of these books, or what you would add, what you would recommend as a good spring read. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.